You are listening to Minor Metrics. I'm your host, Chris Mellon. This show is powered by a script written by Locke Fox at Eve Prosper. This content is aimed at players participating in the mining profession and is provided nightly to give you, dear listener, the information you need to sell your product at the right price. Starting off with Tritanium, we see the Rockwall crash with a slight recovery after the nerf. Zooming in, we can see the price dumped a bit and we're back at 4.2. This market has further to fall, but I would hold anyway. While the market is oversupplied, much of that is probably from earlier, in mind with version 1 Rockwalls. Once all the extra Tritanium is taken out of the market, we should probably get back to a 4.5 to 5.0 price point. I would recommend holding and waiting the couple of months for that correction. If you need liquid currency before that, I would wait for another weekly peak. Next up is Pyrite with what looks like the same graph, and zooming in we are looking at a familiar face. The same forces are acting on this market, and I believe it will have the same result as I've predicted for Tritanium. My advice is to sell now if you need liquid cash in the next 2 months. This price is going to drop soon, but if you can hold on for the long run, I believe that after the coming dip, we'll settle at a higher price than we're trading now. At the top of the world, we have Megasite. Zooming in, we see our staggered growth is continuing. This is a great time to sell Megasite, not just because the price is high, but because the peak is going to close off soon. In the next couple of weeks, Megasite will have to drop simply because this price can't hold forever. Get out while your chips are still worth this much. Moving through, we have ISAGEN. ISAGEN has just been decreasing in value for the last year, and zooming in we see the bounce back that Tritanium and Pyrite experienced were much more pronounced. Because this growth is so slight, I don't think it's a good idea to sell now even if you need it liquid. I think the only real choice here is to wait for the Rockwall oversupply to move through the market and return when we reach a better price. You'll be holding for a couple of months, but 10 to 20% will be worth it. Next up we have Knoxium, displaying the same pattern as Tritanium and the rest of the minerals heavily affected by the Rockwall changes. Zooming in, we can still see we're stalled at 360. My advice is exactly the same as for Tritanium. If you need liquid within a couple months, go ahead and sell now. If you don't, then wait for the Rockwall oversupply glut to leave and wait for the rebound. Moving through to ISAGEN, we have a very different picture with a peak during the early year and a slow recovery now. Zooming in, we can see that it is stalled and we're going sideways for the moment. With our recent positive candlestick, today might have enough volatility to trade, but if you're here for the long game, I'd hold and wait for the price to rise. For the last of our regular minerals, we have Megasite, with a staggered fall in price starting in early 2017. Zooming in, we can see our volatility is stuck. In the long run, the market is showing signals that it's headed down, so any price like this is going to be an opportunity to sell and make yourself immune to a falling price. Lastly, we have the oh-so-stable Morphite. Looking at the yearly graph, the Morphite price is looking like an axis, but zooming in, we can see the price is slowly trending downward. I would recommend holding Morphite, whether you need to cash it or not. At this point in the market, you need a Tech 2 doctrine favoring coalition to get into a fight. That is pretty much the only event that will make your Morphite valuable enough to sell, in my opinion. This has been Chris Mellon for Minor Metrics. That'll do it for the show. Thank you for tuning in, and be sure to check tomorrow for another episode.